athletes and fans around the world, welcome to another episode of Primetime Muscle. I'm Tim Wilkins, joined, as always, by one of the greatest judges of our time, Tarek El-Guindy.
Thank you, Tim Wilkins. Great to be here. Delighted to be here in the presence of 8-time Miss Olympia, Linda Murray.
Oh, well, thank you, gentlemen. I'm loving this.
The episodes you've joined us, you've not only brought your wonderful perspective, but a sense of fashion that seat, you guys...
Oh, yeah. I know I'm trying to keep up with Chris Cremier.
That seat requires fashion.
Yes, it
Linda,
does.
you're so much better than that individual.
Am I?
Do you remember the old Bugs Bunny cartoon with the hound and they fight and they clock in and clock out?
Oh, yes.
That's these two.
Okay.
Listen, don't take my word for granted, okay? Look at the comments that people are going to write on the comment section right here on Olympia TV. I guarantee you hundreds and hundreds of people are going to write, Linda Murray should stay in the show, terminate Chris Cormier immediately. I'm telling you, don't take my word for it. It's going to be the audience.
Oh, wow.
Oh, poor Chris. He'll be back shortly,
Chris. He
traveling
will be
around the
back.
world, running his Camp
I'm just
Cormier.
keeping his seat warm.
Yes, Camp Cormier. Well, one of his Camp Cormier people is someone we're going to be talking about in a little bit.
Mhm.
We are talking about today
Yeah.
the greatest classic physiques, calling them classy
Mhm.
physiques, the greatest
Mhm.
classic physiques of the sport over time.
Mhm.
Tarek, you started things off in a wonderful time. A guy that was the first seminar I ever went to in Southern California, Frank Zane.
Frank Zane. And let me tell you something. I'm going to give you a nice reference. I can take that to my grave. I did a seminar on stage, a posing seminar on stage at the LA Fit Expo, and Frank Zane joined me on the seminar. It was both of us featured, Tarek El-Guindy, Olympia head judge, and Frank Zane. We did a seminar together at the LA Fit Expo. So it was a huge honor for me. I'm like, dude, I'm doing a seminar with Frank Zane.
Yeah.
You know, and he was there and we had a great time. Frank Zane. So here he is. Here's the bottom line, okay? People, pay close attention to the information I'm going to give you. In 1968, a young man from Austria comes to America because he's going to become the next rock star of bodybuilding. His name was Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's a bodybuilding show in Miami, and everybody's talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger dominating the scene in America. Unfortunately for Arnold, this guy was there, Frank Zane, and he defeats Arnold Schwarzenegger with great conditioning and great posing. Arnold said on his documentary, I was crushed, I was crying, you know, but it taught me a great lesson that I needed to be more conditioned. What can you say about a guy that wins the Olympia 3 times, that has beaten Arnold Schwarzenegger with one of the most beautiful aesthetic physiques of all times? Isn't he one of the greatest classic physique that we've ever seen, Linda?
Yes, I would agree with you, especially putting it that way. The fact that he brought the conditioning and he beat heavy hitters like the Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he won the Mr. Olympia 3 times. That says a lot.
Now, both of you want to touch on this. When they created the classic physique division, it's important to note that while dominated for the last 7 years by Chris Bumstead, the original origin was a line like this, with a vacuum and the big lat flare and the sweep in the quads and a beautiful statuesque athletic physique. It has morphed like the generations of open bodybuilders into something much more.
Yeah.
But at its foundation, it is Frank Zane.
Yeah. So the vacuum, that was like, was that something? I mean, all of them inspired to do that. I know Arnold, he did it. I remember Samir, all those guys. So classic, is that a requirement, mandatory they do?
The mandatory is abdominals and thighs, but a lot of the classic physique guys, they like to display the vacuum, which is something that Chris Bumstead, remember Chris Bumstead? He was here, and then he turned to the back, and he did his vacuum, and he showed that small waist. So it's something that they do. It's kind of like how can I say this? It's the classic physique guys telling the open bodybuilders,
Yes.
you got a big gut,
Yes.
I got a nice vacuum.
That's
Now,
it.
some of the older
That's it.
open bodybuilders aren't big fans of the vacuum pose.
Yeah, and I mean, Samson tries to do a vacuum. He does
Mhm.
very well. A lot of the guys
Derek does
do.
a nice one.
Derek, but this was a reaction to the extended guts, right?
I see.
A lot of people talking, oh, bodybuilders, they have this big gut. And here comes the new generation of guys saying, hey, let's stop with this talk. I got a vacuum right here.
Yeah.
All right. Were you around? Were you competing during the Bob
Oh
Paris
yes.
years?
Oh
One of the greatest posers of all time.
yeah. Great poser. And when I think of Bob Paris, first thought, beautiful symmetry, beautiful skin, very attractive, great poser, nice symmetry. Then that's. Don't think of him as a super conditioned athlete or somebody that was consistently bringing what we see from Frank Zane. He just had nice big, had full muscle. But I always think about beautiful skin, beautiful presentation. Yeah, that's what I think of.
And Bob Paris was the guy that inspired Sean Ray to become a bodybuilder. He said, Tarek, when I wanted to be like Bob Paris, I looked at Bob Paris in the magazines and I wanted to be like him. And Bob Paris, man, he was beautiful. Classic physique.
Yeah.
Great looking guy. He had the physique. He was also a great poser. I think Bob Paris lives right now in Northern California and he still looks amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, just a beautiful, beautiful physique. You put that on the beach and, people will attack him because he's so good looking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Calm down, Linda. Calm down, Linda.
People will leave their athletes buffet
Yes.
to come look.
Yes.
All right, now we're talking Serge Nubret.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had a beautiful physique.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes.
I mean, this pose is
Yes.
iconic.
Yes. Serge Nubret. Knew him well. Serge, I think he brought full muscle. He was in the same category, I'm going to say, with Frank Zane, as far as he did bring the conditioning and great poser. Great poser.
He went head to head against Arnold and Lou Ferrigno. What can you say about that? Against the big guys, Serge Nubret went against them. From the front, he might be the best classic physique poser. Just a drop-dead, gorgeous physique from the front. If there's one thing that people might say about Serge Nubret, he needed to have more of a width on the back. But I think his front shots were as beautiful as it gets. French bodybuilder, classic, artistic. I loved them.
Yes. Yeah. Very artistic.
Have you ever been helping somebody pose? And I've had this happen where someone will, you're posing and your posing coach will walk over, move your hips, twist you, move this, and it's perfect right there. And your body and your mind will not go there. So could you just come on stage and put me in those poses?
Yeah.
Could you just position me?
Yeah.
You ever tried to help somebody that just can't find the poses?
Yeah. And then with making that point, that's why, if you're practicing posing and we're talking about mandatories, you practice a lot in the mirror. Well, if you want to perfect it, you have to know what it feels like in that position. You got to take the mirror, look, figure out, and know what that feels like. Get rid of the mirror, because when you're on stage, the mirror's not there, just the judges.
Hold on. We need to have that on a close-up. You have to feel to know what it feels. Linda, say that to the camera because I want that to be a cut on Instagram, okay? All right, ask the question one more time. Yeah.
Linda.
The best posers, you have to feel it. Feel. You have to know what it feels like to be in a front double bicep in a relaxed position. Every angle, you don't need a mirror.
So practice with the mirror and then pull a mirror.
That's right.
All right. So because the reason I ask, I look at this almost S position that Serge is in on the black and white. It is so beautiful the way it's displaying his physique and all the and finding the best attributes, which we always talk about, to still be able to hit the quads, to hit that level of abdominals, and then to show everything is just so beautiful. There's no way I'm getting in that pose without somebody moving my hips.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing too. This is a still shot, guys, not video. But you can see his swag.
Yeah.
Can you not? I can see his swag. You can see the way he's lean. I can feel him going into that. And that's where when I see the still shots of athletes and then they say they didn't get one good photo of me. I'm like, there's the 20 photos, but I couldn't feel you. I can look at those still shots and tell you that you didn't feel it. You didn't know your position. And I can look at this photo and I feel his swag.
So we're going to continue down this path and get progressively more current as we go until we get to today's champions when we come back on Primetime Muscle. We're back, and you were hitting some great points about practicing the posing. And I want to mention one more because you were starting to allude to it on the way out before we went to break. If you're in a video and seeing all these movements and seeing all this go, a lot of these young guys are not finding that beauty and holding that pose for everybody to take it in. And that's part of that swag, isn't it?
Yeah, that's part of that swag. It's part of that swag. You don't have to do a whole lot of movement, but when you move, you want to capture the audience, command the audience and say, hey, look right here. Just little small movements. And it takes work to practice that. But when you get that, and I see that in athletes. I know when you have it, like we were talking about. I can see your swag. I can see there shouldn't be your movements throughout your routine. The photographer should be able to capture all those movements.
And the muscle in motion, which is beautiful.
Muscle in motion. So,
you've compiled another great list here. Another one that I idolized growing up. I am so pleased to work with for going on 7 or 8 years. Lee Labrada, the Lee Labrada Classic coming up in August. Let's take a look at Lee.
So, Lee Labrada was, he was not a mass monster. He was not a big bodybuilder, but this guy was able to place second at the Mr. Olympia against Lee Haney. Why was he so successful? He had some of the most beautiful classic lines. In addition to that, he's one of the greatest posers of all times. If you look at his physique, there's no glaring weaknesses. Despite the fact that he's not a big guy, you see how the lats are coming. You know, the lats are filling it up. And then you have the nice quads. Now look how he's posing. His legs are not straight up, right? A lot of bodybuilders nowadays, they go straight up and they hit the front double biceps. He's creating an angle. He's creating an angle to minimize his waist. Guess who learned this from Lee Labrada? Flex Wheeler. I've talked to Flex Wheeler. He goes, Tarek, this is nothing new. I didn't create this. I learned this from Lee Labrada. This is Milos Sarcev.
Never heard of him.
Yes, Milos Sarcev. His best physique was when he placed 10th at the Mr. Olympia. And I'm going to go as far as to say that when he placed 10th at the Mr. Olympia, it was probably the greatest classic physique I've ever seen. I remember being a young man and I saw a picture of Milos and it was right there that he placed 10th. And I said to myself, I don't care who placed first. I want to look like Milos Sarcev. He's one of the greatest physiques I've ever seen. One of my best friends in the industry, so I'm very biased to him.
Before you go, I got to say, and did you find these pictures?
No, that was Nico Zane with his production team. This is a beautiful picture of Milos Sarcev.
But this is almost like like you said, a high school picture.
This is like him coming out of Yugoslavia and getting on the plane, you know.
Someday I'm going to be a bodybuilder, Tarek. I'll be a champion. And then like 10 pictures later is where I became a fan. And being one of my favorites for the last 30 30, 40 years. He improved so much from here.
He had a gorgeous, beautiful physique. And then we gotta mention Benfado, right?
Yes.
Gotta mention Benfado.
Francis Benfado.
Not one of the great mass monsters. He didn't. But some of these shorter guys, like Lila Brada, Benfado, Bob Paris,
Gaspari.
They had no glaring weaknesses on their physique. The flaring quads, the tiny waist. And then look at the back, the lats coming out, the biceps. Everything is there. Benfado is also one of the greatest classic physiques we've seen at the Olympia.
Here's the crazy thing, Linda. So a lot of the guys now that are smaller in stature, that's a nice way to put that.
That's a nice way.
They're smaller in stature. The obsession with size is messing with their lines. The tiny waist that they've been given is gone, and front to back, they've got the distended abdomens. You're losing the ability to be a Lila Brada or a Francis Benfado.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think this is great while we're doing this show, because when you look at these great athletes and you see the fact that Lila Brada placed second several times, he was in top 5. He was beating some big mass monsters. And Milos, I competed during the same time with Milos. The same thing. Like size, it's important, but you want a beautiful package. You want a beautiful package. Muscle's important, your symmetry, and you can win. You can place in the top 5 in the world. Stop being so concerned about everything's important in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Everything's important.
Yeah, I think if Da Vinci or Michelangelo, if they were ever going to paint a bodybuilder or do a sculpture, it would be an aesthetically pleasing physique. I'm not saying anything against the mass monsters. We love them.
We love them.
But when we think of classic physique, we think of small waist. That guy by the name of Charles Claremont. Okay, a lot of you young guys don't know this guy.
Wow.
I'm going to give you an information. At the British Grand Prix, at one point, this guy defeated Flex Wheeler, okay? Flex Wheeler, at one of his best years, Charles Claremont defeated Flex Wheeler. He nailed his conditioning. What can you say? A lot of people, I've talked to Bob Ciccarillo, I've talked to Milos, I've talked to a lot of people. They believe that Charles Claremont is one of the most underrated bodybuilders of all times. People that saw him goes, this guy is amazing. Look at this.
The quads.
Tell me there's one weakness on his physique, and then the posing. Look how he turned his head completely to the side, right?
So
it wasn't just, I gotta tilt my head. He goes, I need to fully turn my head to make this pose beautiful.
But if I had biceps like that, I'd turn my head and look at them too.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And you know, when you said underrated, I did some research on him. He competed in the 80s and the 90s. Am I correct?
Yes.
80s and the 90s. I mean, what an impact. What an impact. Beautiful, beautiful structure, small waist. The conditioning's there. On point.
Oh, incredibly enough, I mean, it has no impact on the judging, but also great looking guys, right? Great looking guys. Everybody here is cover of a magazine. So what can you say about that? I mean,
agree.
Fantastic bodybuilders. These are some of the best classic physiques.
Now, it's interesting you say that. We are calling them classic physiques because they mimic now what a new division is based on all these. That's what's important for the younger people to know. That division is based on these people. Their posing, their muscularity, their lines, their small waists and definition. But it's so important to know these guys were all battling for this was what Open was, and they were battling for the title.
These are the fathers of Chris Bumstead, of Breon, of Ramon. These are the fathers of these guys that are competing now.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's I can hear Milo saying that. I'm not Chris Bumstead's baby daddy. Don't tell me this, Tarek. He's not my kid. I was not in Canada 28 years ago. Don't say this.
Actually, let me give you some information. Milos Sarcev won his first show in Canada approximately about 25 years ago.
Milos? It would have to be 35.
You have to be 35.
Yeah, it's about 35.
35 years ago, yeah.
Definitely, because I competed during
the
the same time with Milos.
Yeah.
So 35 years ago.
That's some good genetics you got there, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, just throwing it out there, huh, Tarek? Run a disclaimer, would you, Nico? Something about our opinions that aren't legally actionable. All right, we have. Speaking of Chris, we got 3 more coming up. One that I haven't heard a name in quite a while, and we're talking about 2 of the other biggest names in Classic who actually were Classic when we come back.
Every rep and every drop of sweat counts when you're chasing greatness. SteelFit is your ultimate partner on this journey. SteelFit isn't just about products, it's about performance. Abs of steel, buns of steel, and guns of steel are designed to help you push through limits. Your goals are within reach. SteelFit is for those who are committed to their results.
Our final 3 of the Classic Physiques starts with a guy, the last one who was actually battling an open but had a stunning classic physique by today's classic physique standards, Terry Pastel.
Wow.
I know.
This list was not done by me. I consulted with John Hansen. I consulted with Milos. I talked to Valdemar Guimarães in Brazil, some of the best historians. I talked to a lot of people and I said, guys, I need to create a list of classic physiques. And this guy's name appeared on everybody's list. They said, Tarek, you can't do it without Terry Pastel. Now, if you put him next to Benfado, if you put next to Bob Paris, he has the same beauty, but he's just a tad bigger. Look at those biceps. Tim, if you had those biceps, your wife would be so much happier.
There's a lot of things that make her happier. That'd be a
Look at the quads. If I had those quads, my wife would not drink as much. Look at this beautiful physique. Terry Pastel was just perfect.
He was.
If I had those quads, I wouldn't be in men's physique.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's perfect. Perfect. As soon as I saw his name, just great memories, because I loved being in the audience and watching him perform. These photos still don't even show like the conditioning and his physique to what it was in comparison to what you were saying about the previous classic physique competitors. He brought more muscle. His muscle was fuller, and it was just a beautiful presentation. I know he's French, and he too, there was something about his presentation and him performing and showing you, presenting. Yeah, beautiful structure.
It's almost like his body goes into a wave, right? There's a wave here,
there you go,
and a wave there.
Yeah,
right?
Great point.
He looked in the mirror for hours and said, I'm not going to just hit a front double biceps. I'm going to present a sculpture. If we went to Rome and we saw this, people would say this is the perfect physique.
That's that S I was telling you Serge Nubret was in when it was over and under.
Yes.
And just it
That
minimized
thing they
it.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can even see in his little facial expression, like, ooh la la, ooh. Like he just has it, those lines of what you're saying. I can see that, Tarek.
Yeah.
Beautiful lat poking out.
Yeah.
All right, to the modern era of the actual classic physique division, one of the original champions.
Breon Ansley. Breon Ansley. I judge Breon Ansley as an amateur. He won the California State as a bodybuilder. And then he went on to the USA's and he won his pro card as a middleweight. And then he switched to the 212. When we started the classic, he went into the classic. Denny Hester was the first classic physique champion. And then the scenery was dominated by Breon Ansley. Breon Ansley is a student of Chris Cormier. Chris was a great poser himself, and he taught Breon Ansley how to pose, how to present himself. Breon Ansley is an artistic person. He's an actor. He does movies.
Yeah.
So he understands the stage is more than just bodybuilding, is his ability to express himself. You can see the angles on the back. You can see the angles on the legs, right? And one thing about Breon Ansley that's different than all these guys, they have a little bit more of serious artistic.
Yeah.
Breon wanted to put a smile on it. He goes,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what?
yeah.
It's classic, but I got one of the best smiles in the business. This is the picture. When Breon, people ask me about Breon, I go, man, beautiful physique, one of the nicest guy. Look at that smile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You and I sit next to each other at Prejudge a lot of years.
Yes.
You can always tell who's coming back with a vengeance. His conditioning last year was insane.
It was definitely insane. What I love about him mostly,
wanna come
his
in and
little
pump?
small waist, flare on his quads, love his biceps, and I love that the smile, and I love his presentation. There's some athletes when they come up, I want to see what posing routine he put together to present that physique to me. We're professionals, and I want to see that entertain me, and I'm positive that he can always entertain, and he always does.
Linda, he calls himself the Black Swan.
Mm-hmm.
He has a name for his artistic presentations. He doesn't want to go and just hit a frontable biceps. He's one of the most artistic guys we have right now, and he's won it twice.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give him a lot of credit. I don't like to give credit to Chris Cormier. I'm grateful he's not here and you're here. But on this one, I have to say, Chris has done a tremendous job.
Yeah.
Now, okay, we can't say GOAT in a lot of things, like because of the evolution of a category, like with open bodybuilding. This category has only been around about 10 years, and it's been dominated by one guy for 70% of its existence, the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Bumstead, mostly known as CBum, turned pro at the North Americans. He won the heavyweight. He went on to the overall against Justin Rodriguez, and he lost. At that point, he said, I was outsized tremendously. The classic physique was just starting. I'm going to go to that division. It was the best decision of his life. Was he always a success? No. His first show as a professional in the classic physique, he placed last. Most people don't know that. To all the young people that think you should win your first show, Chris Bumstead, on his first classic physique show, he placed last. That show was in Miami. Darren Charles won the show. Terrence Ruffin was second place. And in third, last place, was Chris Bumstead. So his legacy has not been perfect. Has been a legacy of overcoming adversities, defeating a great champion, and becoming the most iconic figure in classic physique. Chris Bumstead took pride in a lot of poses. He took pride in being a great role model. The mustache became a fascination with young people. You can say that Chris Bumstead at the Olympia was a movement. You know, he wanted just to do the Olympia. The Olympia was his thing. I talked to him. He goes, Tarek, my wife is pregnant before Courtney King gave birth. And he goes, I just want to tell my daughter that I crushed the Olympia for many years. And he's done that. He's one of the most charismatic guys. He's a close friend of mine. I love for what he stands for. And I'm telling you right now, he's gonna come back to the stage.
I believe
he's gonna come back to the stage.
No, I agree.
All of you guys that are saying he's done, all of you will apologize to me.
We talked about this. I loved and really thought he could have won that Romania show.
No, that was Prague. But I'm sure
Prague.
Alina loves the advertisement.
Yes. But Prague, he looked amazing. And that was with what, 6 weeks to put on a little extra weight. You give that guy 2 years with his determination and some solid training, injuries and all, he's the guy. He'll put it to those guys. If he came back, it wouldn't be in the classic, it would be in the open.
Yeah, you know, hey, no question about it, man. Like, when you work hard enough to look as good as these guys look, and then you go and you win the Olympia, and then it's time to, like, you get to 6 and you're like, dang it, I'm not really ready to retire. Like, you still have a lot in you, but you know, it's like kind of like, okay, the gig's up. Let me close the door. I'm done. It's 6. But he is too young and he loves competing. And I agree with you. He's not done.
Well, it's like a concert. And we'll wrap up here. It's like a concert when the fans are cheering for one more song. It's hard to stay backstage.
Well,
And the fans are still cheering.
Yes.
Yeah. But Tim, before we finish, we need to lose some followers and create some enemies. I know you have plenty already, but we can find some. Linda Murray, who's your favorite classic physique
You know what?
of all
My
times?
my favorite, I'm going to go with Charles Claremont.
Wow. That was
I'm going to go with, I think that second segment where we were talking about some of the greats, like, and also Milos Sarchev.
Tim.
I'm gonna take two also, and I'm gonna go Milos and Lila Brada. I have been a fan of both of those guys for 40 plus years, and they're just everything they did was iconic and memorable, and it's still going today.
I'm gonna pick two as well. I'm gonna pick Milos and Thierry Pastel.
Oh, beautiful.
So I guess since all of us picked three, Milos is the greatest classic physique of all time.
Of all
you gotta
time.
finish the show as Milos right now.
Okay,
Milos.
Tarek, I want to thank the sponsors for coming today. Sve dobro, everybody, everything's okay. Global Fit and the formulas.
Yeah, Global Formulas. Milos, congratulations
Very
on
good.
being
The greatest classic
the
physique.
greatest classic physique, even though it wasn't classic back then, but the classic stylings of a physique. Global Formulas, we thank you for your sponsorship and making this happen. Steel Fit as well, thank you. And wow, like, subscribe, share. Linda, it has been such a pleasure. If it works out that we can make Chris's flights delayed anymore, I don't know what Tarek did, who he
Yeah.
called an American,
Yeah.
or what flight he was on, and you said, hey, bump that guy.
Listen, I think after the show we've realized that Linda Murray is so superior than Chris. I just need
painful.
you guys on the comment section to write it as much as possible because we want to have Linda Murray forever and we want to make sure Chris Cormier never appears here.
Oh, you don't mean that.
Oh,
Linda,
I
thank you for
love
joining
Chris.
us.
I'll step back in.
Oh, it's like the girls. I love Chris.
I
love
do.
Chris.
I love
You know,
Chris.
no, it's like
love
Franciele
Chris.
Matos and Isa Pereira. I hate him.
All right, Tarek Elgindy, Linda Murray, thank you. Tim Wilkins for Primetime Muscle. We'll see you next time.